Hey everyone, welcome back to Tango Simplified Learning Series. I'm Yelizaveta, and today Eve is joining us to demonstrate some of the really important principles in follower technique, but really this is stuff that both leaders and followers need to know for the dance floor to make sure that you don't run into your partner's feet. So this is one of the biggest questions that I get a lot, how to both have good technique that allows you to not step on your partner, but specifically for followers who are transitioning from dancing in heels to dancing in flats. A lot of you are saying that it's difficult to actually feel the same balance and the same ease when dancing in flats, and that perhaps when you switch to dancing in flats, it's causing you to not have as much space in the embrace. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about the basic fundamental rules about how to make sure you and your partner don't bump into each other, whether you're dancing open or close embrace. And then we'll also touch upon, for the followers specifically who are transitioning from dancing in heels to dancing in flats, what are some of the common mistakes to avoid to make sure that you feel both possibilities as being very comfortable for you. So when we are moving around each other in tango, this is going to be here in open embrace. The way that I make sure that I don't step on my partner's foot is I maintain a particular distance between my hips and my partner's. So I have that intention as a leader, and my partner needs to have that intention as well. So we both carry that intention in the embrace. So as I project my weight forward and I convey through my frame that I'm moving forward, my partner reads that as signal to get out of the way. And in this way, it helps her to keep the hips the same distance that they were a moment ago. Now, if she did not do that, notice what would happen. So if I begin to move forward, but let's just say she doesn't feel this because the elbow relaxes here. And so as I move, this begins to be absorbed. So as I move in, this is where I would bump into my partner because the connection broke down in the embrace and they weren't feeling the intention of my body coming forward. So this is why the embrace technique in tango is so important, because as partners, we're using it as a way to feel in a very tactile way where we are in relation to each other. And if we're both allowing ourselves to follow the rules of this simple parameter that we set up for each other, then a lot of directions are possible without having to worry about bumping into your partner. So this will be applicable whether you're dancing in open embrace or if you're dancing in close embrace as well. I have the same intention in close embrace here with my partner. My hips are slightly back and their hips are slightly back. And in fact, we have a little bit of space between us right around the solar plexus area. This little pocket of air might change depending on the height of your partner, but you will have that in your embrace as a standard to make sure that this prevents you from stepping on your partner, because it allows your partner to feel exactly where you need to move. And especially when we're moving around each other, that space really helps to make sure that you have enough room as a follower to make it around without stepping on your partner. Now this brings us to the technique for followers and how to transition from dancing in heels to dancing in flats in a way that still allows you that room. As you noticed, Eve had no trouble dancing in flats around me in close embrace. That's because she understands the difference between how to dance when you're dancing in heels and what to change when you're dancing in flats. The biggest mistake that followers make when they start dancing in flats is that you are dancing in a flat shoe, but you actually dance as if you're dancing in heels. So you remain on the toes a lot, and the steps end up always landing on the ball of the foot, and it's kind of like you're trying to stay on the toes. And in addition to that, this a lot of times locks your knees, which then makes it even more difficult to execute over and over again without getting tired, and for your partner to be able to communicate. So as a demonstration, if I just ask Eve to demo for a second here, the wrong way of doing it, if you are in flats but you're dancing on your toes, and then on top of it just thinking about really remaining straight on your legs. So in this position here, even though Eve is excellent at executing the steps, the tension that she has to endure in the legs as she's moving from step to step, that is going to make it less comfortable long term. It's very hard to sustain that kind of work. So for a lot of followers, when they say that it's harder to dance in flats, it's because you're not actually putting the heel of the foot down. So notice the difference now. Instead of keeping the heel off the ground, notice how she moves around me. And we'll demo this in open embrace as well as close embrace. And as you'll notice, she's really utilizing the heel on as many steps as possible. So if we switch into close embrace, notice how even here there's room to take comfortable steps that take up the full size of the foot. So there's no need to go onto the toes. Sometimes it's advantageous to go into the toes. For example, if I'm leading little details and we're dancing a fast milonga and moving with a lot of speed, it might be useful to go onto the toes. But as soon as possible, it's nice to get the heel involved again so that the foot gets that space to reset. So the more you can use the full range of motion in the foot, the better the technique will be long term and the easier it will be to dance. Now, of course, this technique is also applicable if you're dancing in heels. It's the same idea applies, that what you're trying to do is move the foot through as full of a range of motion as is possible in the shoes that you're wearing. So try out some of these principles in open embrace, close embrace. If you've made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so, because I post one of these every Saturday. And I'll see you in the next one.